one. Eva Patel has many important mentors in Chapter 6, and also he gets involved with some very important organizations that help him, accept that he's a Muslim and also be proud of it. But one person that came to mind who wasn't really involved in the 6th chapter is his grandma. And I thought that she was a really powerful influence on him because she really went out of her way to help women who were in abusive relationships, and she would welcome them into her home even if she didn't really know them. So she was really just putting herself out there, and there wasn't anything for her to gain by doing it besides being nice. And I think she was one of the first important Muslim kind of role models for him that showed him that Muslims aren't all the stereotypical image that we see, but they're just regular people who also want to do good in the world and want to help others. Patel's first important mentor in Chapter 6 was his professor, Geoffrey Wilford. And I think he was really important because Professor Wilford was in charge of Patel's PhD studies, and he really encouraged him to research about topics, that he cared about, which included religious identity and interfaith work. And I think that if he wouldn't have had Professor Wilford leading his PhD studies, he most likely would have been forced, or he would have chosen a different topic, and he wouldn't have met many of the important mentors he had later in life, and he wouldn't have had quite a few of the same experiences. Another important moment for Patel in Chapter 6 is when he began reading the writings of Professor Fazlur Rahman, and he was a professor who emphasized that the core message of Islam is the establishment of an ethical, egalitarian order on earth. And I think that this was really a meaningful time for Patel because he was able to recognize that Islam might be different than the negative connotations that he might have heard during high school or college. And I think it was also important because he not only knew that these ideas were probably good, but he also agreed with them. So when he found out that these were the core tenets of Islam, he became more connected to his religion as a whole, which helped him accept his identity. Finally, I think the most important moment for Patel is when he founded the Interfaith Youth Corps, which is where he kind of put into practice the ethic of service and pluralism that he had learned from his mentors and the different, tenets of Islam that he had learned recently. And I think that this was probably the most important point in Patel's life because he could really accept that he was doing, good work as a Muslim. He was fulfilling their belief that they need to help other people and they need to create a society on earth where people are fighting less. And I also think it helped him meet other like-minded people who are probably more open to his identity. And I think this really enabled him to believe that, well, I'm doing good and others know that I'm doing good, and regardless of my religion. And I think that really helped him realize that Islam is an important part of who he is and that it's okay to have that identity.